Okay, names. What they told me about myself. Hello guys, my name is Jaden Park, which is the English name I go by, and my Korean legal name is Jason Park. And you might be like, okay, you might be wondering why I'm telling you both my English and Korean names. And that is because it is related to what I'm going to be talking about for the next 6 minutes or so. I'm going to tell you how my name changed over time, and what that told me about me as a person, about myself as a person. I'll categorize the whole name change time period into 3 different categories: childhood, adolescence, and adulthood, and explain those 3 stages to you. So, who here has an English name on top of their legal Korean names? I'm pretty sure most of you, except for Patrick and maybe Hyun-sung, have an English name on top of their Korean names. So, as I mentioned, my English name is Jaden Park, which is the name I go by in English-speaking settings, and I go as Jason Park in Korean-speaking settings, or Park Jae-sung. But unlike most of you, I've had a different legal name when I was younger, and I also had many different English names which I wanted to go by, and now I'll share these stories with you. So, who here, when they were born, got to choose their own names? Nobody. So when we're born, we're each given a unique and meaningful name from our parents, or grandparents in my case. So when my mother was pregnant, my grandfather went through a list of meaningful Chinese characters and came up with this name, Ho-seung Park. That was the first legal name that I had. Ho meant wide, and seung meant victory. So my name overall meant something like be victorious in a wide range of fields. I'm not really sure what that really means, but that was my name. And this was a time when I had no independence, no choice or no voice over which name I wanted. I was under complete control of my parents or my grandparents, and in fact, I didn't even know that they picked a name for me. That's why I categorized this time period as my childhood, because we are constantly told from our parents that we can do whatever we want, but in fact, in reality, we actually do whatever they want. Now I'm going to move on to a different story. This was when I grew up a little bit more and I started attending elementary school. And it didn't take me long until I felt the necessity of an English class, taking additional English classes. I went to my first English class in school and soon I was like, crap. I thought English was just learning alphabets. So I came back home telling my mother how stupid I felt in my English classes, and we soon decided on taking additional English classes. So now I had to choose an English name. And the first name ever that I came up with was Williams. And that was because of this person, Serena Williams. I did not even know who she was back then, but she just happened to be on the TV when I was thinking about my name. And back in the time, I did not know the difference between first name and last names. So I kept on insisting on Williams as my first name. And obviously, my mother was horrified. Just like, no way you're going to class as Williams. So I had to choose between William or Peter. That was because William was my brother's English name and Peter was my school teacher's English name. So original, right? So I decided on Peter as my name because I did not want the same name as my brother. And I went with that name for a couple of years. Now I want to tell you a story about when I experienced the biggest change in my life. This was in 4th grade when my mother came back home from work one day and told me that, suggested that I change my name to Jason Park. And I was like, okay, that sounds better than Ho-seung, and I still believe so. So I was like, okay, I'll take it. And this was like a huge shift in my life, almost like an identity change I experienced. I changed my name in the middle of my elementary school years, so all my friends still knew me as Ho-seung, but my name changed to Jason. But soon I could adapt to this name. Now I categorize this whole time period as my adolescence. My childish self believed that I can do whatever I want, and without anyone's influence. But in fact, I was influenced by a lot of people. My parents, Serena Williams, my brother, and even my English teacher. I was almost there to adulthood and in full independence, but I still couldn't think independently. But my adulthood, my independence came quite fast when I graduated high school and decided to move to Canada. So I randomly decided to make a new English name. And my mother asked me why, because she was familiar with Peter, and I just said, just because I want to. So the day before my departure, I sat in front of my laptop computer and found this cool website called Behind the Names. And this site lists millions of English names, each paired with their unique meanings. And I scrolled through thousands of them, and I found Jason. Jason and Jason sounds pretty similar. and Jason's a common name. So my mother suggested that I go with Jason, and I was like, no. I scrolled through a few more, and I came across Jaden, and I was like, this is it. It sounds cool, and I've never seen anyone with the name Jaden before. So that became my English name. And as you can see, even in formal settings, I'm called either by Jason Park or Jaden Park. It's not to show off, but and I believe this was the first experience ever when I exercised my full independence. That's why I'm categorizing my young 6th grade self into adulthood. So the take-home message from this presentation is quite simple. We're all young adults now, and we're constantly told from our society to stay independent, be self-reliable, and responsible. But we all know it's quite difficult. We might still be in the adolescent stage, where we believe that we're independent, without being aware of how dependent we actually are. To be honest with you guys, I did not even know that picking Jaden as my English name was exercising my full independence until not long ago. However, it was indeed a huge turning point for me in my life. From then on, I started listening to my own words, no matter how much opposition I faced from my friends or family, and I took actions on what I believed was right. So, I'm sure all of you guys are quite independent adults now, but I want to reiterate this message because I believe it is so important. I want you all to find your own voice, listen to your own words and your own words only, so that you can live your own life and not anyone else's. That is the end of my presentation, and Jaden Jason Park would like to thank you all for listening.